Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here today. I am Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz, and I have the distinct honor of representing Texas 15, the 15th Congressional District here in Texas, that encompasses currently the west side of Hidalgo, all the way up north into the area in between San Antonio and Austin. The reason I'm here today is because there is a concern, as we've just shown, and I am the voice of the people down here, and so I want to hear directly, as I did in our last meeting, from you who are having these experiences and discuss legislative options that are available. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brad, Congressman, District 28. I officially don't represent this area. I used to represent it about 2.5 years ago. But as you know, there's been a little redistricting, so I'm coming back home again, if I can use that term, again to South Texas. I'm from Laredo. My parents were migrant workers. My father was born in Guerrero, Tamaulipas. He became a legal resident. He then became a naturalized citizen, so that pathway is important to me. My parents were migrant workers. I'm the oldest of 8 kids. I was a state representative from Laredo. I was Secretary of State. Good old days where we used to have bipartisan. I guess I was the last Democrat statewide, appointed by Rick Perry. He used to be a Democrat before he became a Republican. And now I'm in Congress, and I sit in one committee called the House Appropriations Committee. I've been there since about 11 years in the in the Appropriations Committee. I sit in 3 committees, subcommittees. One is Defense, where almost half of all the discretionary funding goes to. I sit on Military Construction / VA, so the veteran VA is very important. And finally, I'm the top Democrat in the Homeland Security. And I keep looking, I want to be very respectful of you, but I keep looking at my phone because we're in the process of trying to finish the appropriations, the last 4, and one of them is Homeland. Hopefully we can have a bipartisan agreement on Homeland, and then I can talk about some of the things that I'm trying to add on Homeland appropriations, provide some oversight. We usually do about $10 billion that we provide ICE, but under a bill that got passed for the next 4 years, there is $18.7 billion on top of what we do for ICE, $75 billion for ICE for the next 4 years. So it's usually $10 billion, but now there'll be almost $29 billion for ICE. So we're trying to provide some oversight on ICE. Including language that we're trying to add where it says that ICE will focus on deporting criminals. On deporting criminals is where we should have. So I'll talk a little bit more afterwards, but I just wanted to give you just a quick background on myself. So thank you. I'm here to listen because I have a direct impact on Homeland Security. Homeland Security Secretary will come to us later on the next few months. The CBP Commissioner will come before us on appropriations. The ICE Director, and I know Ted Lyons well, I've known him for many years, he will come before our Homeland Appropriations. So I do have a direct input on Homeland, and that's why I'm here to listen and learn from y'all.
Thank you.
Julio, if I may interject, and thank you, Congressman, for mentioning something that's very important. And it was a point of discussion, I believe, Julio, you may have said in the last meeting, and that is, Monica, why are you so focused on the farmers? And someone in that room made that conversation. And I sit on agriculture. So I sit on 2 committees on agriculture and financial services. And so that's a lot of time where we spend our focus is in our different committees. So you certainly have the right to people here today, myself as your representative, but I think a strong voice because he does sit on Homeland Security, but again, I do sit on agriculture, and that is why much of my time and focus is on supporting our ag community.
Thank you for your clarification. Raise your hand. So we have a very, and finally, developers, and
All comments, are direct comments, are to the moderator. Please stand and wait for your turn at the mic. You will have a 2-minute limit per speaker.
On what we stand for and why we're here. This mission statement, we deliberated for days to come up with it so that it had an impact and it had longevity. And it's broken up into 3 parts. The first part being about builders, the second part being about our industry, and the third part being about our community. The most important thing that we thought would impact our industry are builders. We strongly believe that the builder is the middle guy to everybody. If we mentor them, create workshops for them, and elevate them, then our whole industry elevates. And it reads like this: providing educational guidance and mentorship to our members through seminars, workshops, tutorials, fellowship to improve the quality of homes and enhance our customer experience. That is our builders. Our industry, strengthening relationships between builders, construction industry, and real estate personnel by creating an atmosphere of transparency, trust, and fairness. And the third part, and the reason that we are here, fulfilling our mission statement and what we were put to do by our membership, is building pride and confidence in our local community by emphasizing integrity, servitude, and credibility. That is our mission statement. That's what we've been following this entire time, and that's what we will continue to follow because the members that voted us here are expecting that. That's who we are, South Texas Builders Association. As a community, are going through some really hard times. Numbers are down everywhere, not just in the construction industry, but in retail, hospitality, the farming business, medical. All numbers are down. We're not a big community. Millions of dollars have been pulled out of this economy. If you can just understand how that impacts all of us, it's a big deal. Our workforce, over 9,000 people have been deported just out of our area. Disproportionate numbers compared to the rest of the United States. Percentage-wise, we are a very small portion of the U.S., and yet the deportations are astronomical in our community. That affects us greatly, and we've got to do something about it. As our political leaders, I want to say this in a very personal way. We are given an opportunity. We are very blessed to be here. You guys are blessed to be representing the community that raised you. Take that opportunity and do it the most that you can with it. I pray this for you. Because when you get to a point in life and you realize, man, did I do everything that I could? Did I do the right thing? Did I do it in a positive way with love and appreciation of where we're from? Don't have regrets. Trust me, they will haunt you. Do the best that you can. That is why we elect you. That is why we believe in you. And ultimately, that is what we expect from you. I believe that we can. We are a people in this area that, as you saw in the video, we are a peaceful people. We work really hard. Nowhere did you see disruption like you've seen in other areas. We simply do what we do. We fix that concrete slab that didn't get poured, and we move forward. That's the community that you guys represent. Don't let us down. We need you all. We really need you all. In the day that we're in, it's funny, right? Or ironic that it is Martin Luther King Day. We too have a dream. All of us here have a dream. And I gotta tell you, we wouldn't be here if we didn't believe in the promised land. We have seen it too. And we need y'all's help to get us there. Thank you for being here. I appreciate y'all. And let's talk.
I can speak from a lumberyard that has several locations, not just in the valley, but in other locations. So these fields in where we are in the Rio Grande Valley, a little bit more concentrated here. I mean, we've seen the effects of the loss of the people building the homes, which is our main focus, the building home industry. And we see the numbers in our two locations here in the valley coming down drastically compared to other locations. We're in Laredo, we are in Victoria, Texas, Corpus Christi, others. We're 7 locations, 2 of them here in the valley. And we see the numbers in the valley coming down more drastically.
What is your name and what is the name of your business?
It's Martin Gomez, and I'm with Zarsky Lumber. So it feels kind of like a, I don't want to say targeted, but regional. And I can speak in terms of comparing different locations, not just what we're seeing here. So thank you. I hope this helps and put in perspective the dimension of what we're seeing locally here in the valley. Thank you, sir.
Who don't know, outside of being the McAllen City Commissioner, I'm also the Chief Lending Officer at Lone Star National Bank. I've been there for 20 years. The bank probably lends anywhere in the range of 500 to 600 million into local business, and a huge portion of that business each year is construction, land development, and real estate as a whole. 93% of those dollars go into real estate investments. So we deal with probably almost your entire membership and builders and suppliers and the entire chain of the construction industry. So obviously on the financial sector side, we see the dip and the drop in demand, which obviously means lesser and lesser investment in the region. We already know the supply of homes is already a bit crunched with demand, and so that only causes prices to go higher. I think the issues with labor are causing almost risk pricing for the contractor. It creates a lot of instability in the market to be able to, from an economic standpoint, to plan and forecast ahead for future projects. So definitely in the banking sector, we see the demand diminishing. We see the strain from not only the construction industry, but we see it across the board in various sectors that we finance. And so it definitely affects the market as a whole. It affects the local economy significantly. It affects the local workforce, and all of that can put a lot of strain on really community banks, Lone Star National Bank, along with a large number of other banks in the community, are really the access to capital for small business, for the local community, even for the consumers. And as things like this continue to happen and escalate, it's only going to force banks to tighten up. It's only going to reduce not only the access to capital across the board, but it's going to elevate the risk of foreclosures, the risk of default, consumer credit, right? All that is going to be affected. We're all one large affected community, and we're very tied to the community. And so it's critical that, I talk about it from the financial sector, from sort of the economic impact, from the numbers that the banks will see, and the industries that we see affected. But there's no doubt that overall too, this is our neighbors, these are the people that we work with, this is our community, we are a border town, and we want to see the people in our community treated with dignity and respect, and we want to see people willing to work, given an opportunity. We have created this system that exists alongside the system, and there are better solutions, I think, than what's being done today.
Well, if you're talking about the impact, I'm sure you guys have heard, but our stores, we have 3 locations, one in Palmview, one in Ghana, and one in Edinburgh. Since 2008, we hadn't seen such an impact, and the problem was just happened like cold, bucket of cold water, just all of a sudden, like no warning. So, I mean, our stores, I don't know the numbers, but, they're in here, at least 30%, we're talking about millions, 6 to 8 millions last year in losses. It's just a ripple effect. The building, our niche is residential, custom homes. And I believe that's where the biggest impact so far. So I wasn't very well prepared. I was out of town. And, just, feel my butt, wanted to, pitch in a little bit of what our impact was. And we're still struggling to, in the 38 years, we have never laid anybody off. And that's our motto, never. We had to let go of, truck drivers, people that have been with us for decades, 22 years. They decided to retire, said, well, had no other choice. It's a sad situation. You guys know the laws, I don't. But as far as the impact economically here, you see it everywhere. I live in Mission. It takes me about 30 minutes to go to my location in Amber. Before I get on the expressway, you'll see trailers and the guys, subcontractors with their trailers packed with materials. You don't see that anymore. Highways are empty. Gas stations. It's just right now. I don't know. It's sad. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much, Land Title Company. We have offices in Mission, Edinburgh, Westaco, and McAllen. Our primary focus is Hidalgo County. We're fortunate enough to do business with almost every lender, mortgage company, everyone else involved in the real estate business. And to support Mr. Haddad's comments about activity in the construction side, I can tell you that we have seen, especially on the construction side, construction loans, and there are other banks, not just Lone Star, that are very involved in the construction business, and they are seeing it. We've been seeing it in our numbers since the summer, and certainly towards the end of the year, October, November, December, and including especially towards the end of the year, those numbers have significantly dropped, I would say by 30 to 40% of construction activity, and these are all the banks, not just Lone Star National Bank. And I think and I have been meeting with, as I usually do, to call on bankers in particular. Just last week I was visiting with the CEO of another bank, very active, and he was telling me how he had just gotten a call from one of his builders that they had 18 construction workers picked up on site. And so needless to say, that work on that deal just completely came to a halt. So there's real numbers, there's real people, and the impact is there. Thank you.
So, I'm Irving Ayala with Edwards Homes out of El Paso, Texas. We are a home builder that's been building for over 20 years in El Paso, and we decided to expand the company to a different city. When we were doing our studies, we noticed that the valley is very similar to El Paso. A lot of Latinos. Edwards Homes is a company that was started by a Latino, so it was a great, city that we chose to start. ICE wasn't a problem back then. And we had big plans, big investments coming to a valley, and we bought land, we bought homes to build and stuff like that. So now it's like doubting what's going on here. Like El Paso is a border town, and we don't have this problem. The only ICE rates that we've had is because people have warrants. They go in, look for that person, get them out, and they're out. And they usually post on the newspaper why that person was arrested, how many people it took, and it's always people with warrants. It's always people that have a DWI, committed a crime, felonies, stuff like that. It's never been like, I need everybody who has papers, who's not. They're always looking for an individual. Versus here, they just show up, pick up whatever they can, and leave without saying anything. 15 minutes later, they're gone. nothing on the news. They don't say why they were there. They don't explain anything. They just go in, remove, and leave unexpectedly. So, yeah, that's it.
With Capital Insiders. We are a financial institution, private lending institution who specialize in construction loans. 90% of our loans goes through the building industry. I used to be a builder for over 25 years, and we specialize on providing credit to builders who are not ready to go to the bank just yet, subcontractors, realtors, anyone in this room who has not the opportunity for whatever reason to qualify with a financial institution, they come to us. We manage money from local investors that goes through the community. It's not money coming from Wall Street that is going to stop coming. It's money from investors local that they go through the community. Last week, we had a partnership with one of the material suppliers in the Valley. It's an unprecedented event because we have never seen a financial institution partnering with the material suppliers to finance our builders. We have neither that company, our company, specializing in other markets. We are deeply rooted in the Valley. We believe in the Valley. We want to provide the opportunity for those who doesn't have the access to go to the capital. And we have seen a decline. Customers, we have customers from Rio Grande City all the way to Brownsville. People who specialize in 5, 10, 15 houses a year, they are doing just 2 or 3 because of the same issue that we're facing. Thank you.
My name's Jeremy Smith. I'm with Mott's Building Materials, and I can honestly say I can echo the sentiment of the other speakers that there's been a real impact here in the Valley. I can go back to the beginning of 2024 or 25 and say, where did I see the market going in 25? The first half was sensational, and then all of a sudden it feels like the carpet was pulled off from under our feet, and things just changed. Going back from June, I would say the decline, bear in mind there was an expected gain in the second half. There was momentum into the second half, and all of that momentum was lost. And the economic output probably fell by as much as 30 to 35% in the second half from where it would have been. At Mott's, we managed to generate or pick up market share where we had to fend off the problem, but that doesn't really help the general market. I think the decline in the Valley is real, and the opportunity that exists in the Valley is real. And I would say if nothing else should be taken away from this is that squandering an opportunity where economic growth can happen. This isn't true in a lot of parts of the country. The economic output here and the opportunities that exist, continue to exist, and existed since the beginning of last year, or the middle of last year, have really been pulled away. And I think that number, if I had to put it in specific terms, is probably, I think I heard it earlier, 30%. I'd say it's more like 30 to 35% decrease, and that type of number is just unsustainable in a market like this. And I think that it would only take a minor correction in policy to really see this change. The opportunity is there, it just needs to be taken. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Eloy Gatsa. I'm here representing RGB Lead. And in the last town hall, open forum, I got up and spoke about the opportunity that we had as a community to come together and support our educational institutions. RGB Lead for the last 30 years has been working in this community to support linking economic and academic development. And in the last town hall, I spoke up and asked what could happen if STBA members and the people in this room would come together around supporting our students that are eager and willing to help fill up your pipeline. And I'm very proud to be here today and let you all know that STBA has stepped up to the table. They are sponsoring a regional convening, which is going to happen on Wednesday, that is going to be bringing together leaders from our educational school districts, bringing them to the table, bringing teachers, educational leaders, so that we can fully understand what it would take to give our students these kind of opportunities, internships, mentorships, capstones, practicums, an opportunity for our youth to step up to the table to support you in this difficult time. RGB Lead is here to support you. This is our expertise. This is what we've been doing for 30 plus years. we'd like to thank STBA for co-sponsoring this opportunity, and we ask all of you to participate. If you want to know what it is that our school districts here in this region and our post-secondary educational institutions from Brownsville all the way to Rio Grande, what they can do for you, come to the convening. It will be this Wednesday, the 21st, from 8 a.m. to 11 at the UTRGV CIC Center. And to our wonderful leaders that are here, thank you so much for coming to support our community. Questions? What supports can you provide to help enrich this opportunity, to give our students opportunities, to help empower our small businesses here with supports, with funding, that we can provide our students with a pipeline for prosperity and education, give them hands-on experiences. None of us ever learned how to ride a bike by reading a book. Thank you all so much.
But for you to do that, knowing the repercussions, I could just only imagine the text message, the emails, and the phone calls that you got. But that takes guts, right? It takes guts, and we really appreciate that. Please don't take our comments and our suggestions personally, but just we're really just expressing what we're seeing out there. But we're very thankful for what you're doing, and we understand what you're facing. So thank you for that. And by the same token, Mr. Cuellar, you also stood your ground, and we know that we have an uphill battle coming up with the midterms, and we wish everybody luck. But some of the solutions that we were discussing previously were very practical, so it seems. Quick solutions. We all know the long-term solution is immigration reform. We've been trying to have immigration reform since the 80s, the 90s, and thousands. So let's skip that for now, but the immediate solution, we think, and we would like some discussion because we don't know the law, and we're glad that you sit on the Appropriations Committee with Homeland Security. We want to know, and we've discussed this last time, I'm sure Ms. Monica de la Cruz can shed some light. We want to know the law clearly. What can and what can't be done on worksite enforcement, number one. Who is allowed? What can they do? What resources do we have as property owners to not have people cross our private property? Number two, we would like an immediate pause on worksite enforcement without either, and I don't want to say probable cause because the scope of probable cause is up for legal debate, but by the time it gets in front of a judge, who's going to fight that, right? It's not going to happen, let's be clear. So if we can put some immediate stop to worksite enforcement, that would be great. And worksite enforcement because of racial profiling, like just, let's take a step back real quick. Why do they hit work sites? Ask yourself, why do they hit work sites? Because they know that they're not out there, they don't want to go out there bust a guy selling drugs. They want to go out there for the easy targets, the guys that aren't going to run. I mean, shit, you got people up in Minneapolis, all the white people are up in arms. Then you come here to La Raza, like Ronnie said, we mind our business, we're working. Get away, let us do our job. We don't fight. No one's fighting. Imagine if we get up in arms and we go on social media and we rile everybody up and start some type of movement that happened back in the 70s with the Cesar Chavez and the 60s and the 80s. Judge Fernando Macias was part of that movement back in the day, PSJ, loud and proud. We don't need to do that. We're beyond that. So if we can stop the racial profiling, that would be great. Just the bare minimums. And we would like an immediate, I know we discussed this with both Monica de la Cruz and Henry Cuellar face-to-face. We want an immediate face-to-face roundtable with White House leadership and want some clear answers for our region, for our people. Let's not shy away from that. I know that, it's not as easy as it sounds, but if we need to put pressure, you tell us where we need to put pressure. We'd be more than happy to guide our team and our people behind us, so we can do this civilly and we can do it together, because we're a powerful bunch down here. We're quiet, but just don't wake up that tiger, man, because we get crazy and we get down, right? Sorry, that's the owl and windy, but let's start some solutions. So if you guys can give us some feedback, Mr. Cuellar, Ms. De La Cruz, we can start a roundtable discussion. Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and just butt in there.
Number one, thank you everyone for being here today and having the courage to get up in front of your peers and in front of your congressmen and congresswomen to talk about your concerns. I heard these in our last meeting, specifically with the board. As you all know, immigration reform has been needed for many, many years, not just this year, but decades. It's complicated, it is deep. There are many, many sections to immigration policy, visas, things of that nature. And so over the last couple of weeks, we met, I believe, 3 weeks ago, and one of the things that you all asked of me was to have a meeting with DOL and USCIS, transparency on INA, which was the Immigration and Naturalization Act, and immediate status, or also immediate face-to-face with individuals. And so I got to work right away to see what is it that we can do in this capacity to help meet these three asks. So I'd like to share with you what I've done over the last 3 weeks. Number one, we have had dozens of meetings with leadership on the House side and with the White House, including the legislative director for the White House. We have had meetings with different caucuses, from the Hispanic caucuses, or this would be me. I've had meetings with the Hispanic caucus on the Republican side, as well as the Main Street caucus, which is the caucus that I belong to. I have set up a meeting with leadership for not only a person to represent this industry, but also the different industries within this community, from a banker to materials, so that way we can give a regional look to what is happening specifically in South Texas. We've also secured meetings with DOL, and so that you all can come together to discuss some of these important issues. And I think that is the first step in bringing awareness. We are hyper-focused, and I am hyper-focused on representing South Texas, and that's why I have been a loud voice in Washington, D.C. To get some of the meetings that we are expecting is exciting, because it means that you all are making enough noise, I'm making enough noise as your leader to put us on the map, to make leadership aware of what is happening here and what our concerns are. I will say that as we're legislators, and so we have to look at legislative policy and creating policy that would help not only the construction area, but other areas. So there are different types of visas. There are H-2A, H-2B, and when my team and I really started to look at what are the visas that our contractors can use, what we found was there really wasn't an exact place within legislation, within the visa process, to help our contractors. Now, you can use H-2B visas, but they are capped at approximately $66,000, and there's some nuances in there that I think are challenging for this industry. This is why I decided to support a piece of legislation called the Essential Workers for Economic Advancement Act by Representative Schmucker. And the reason why is because it creates another visa program, the H-2C visa, which would specifically help our contractors. And so this is something that is important, and that we continue to look at legislation that will help. That being said, I also signed up on Representative Salazar. It's a bipartisan piece of legislation with a Democrat, Veronica Escobar from El Paso. That's called the Dignity Act, and the Dignity Act actually establishes a long-term solution for undocumented immigrants currently living in the United States while still protecting our current American workers as well. So there's certain pieces of legislation that we are looking at, not only creating, but that have been created to garner more support. And I think that you all are making noise. I think our last conversation made headlines, I know it made headlines all over the nation, because I get critical mentions, and we had hundreds of mentions almost a day, specifically on my comments that came after our meeting. And I believe that because of the action that you all have taken and that I have taken, and Congressman Cuellar, we work a lot together in a bipartisan manner, that we've garnered the attention of the White House. If you were watching last week, President Trump actually sent out a tweet saying, we need to have this conversation about immigration reform. Now is the time. And for our president to actually put focus and attention in a tweet saying, let's start this discussion, is a huge step in the right direction. I yield back. Congressman.
Thank you. And I certainly want to work in a bipartisan way, because I've found out that in Congress, if you don't do it in a bipartisan way, you can't get anything done. In fact, the last time we had immigration reform was in 1986. President Reagan, a Republican, and the Congress, both the House and the Senate, were Democrats. That was the last time we really had immigration reform. There's been different attempts. I've been around for a while, and I've seen it. Try to get a DREAM Act, which I support. Try to get full immigration reform, I support. Different areas, Bracero program also. All those are things that I support, but those are things that have to be done by legislation. The way you get things done is two ways, either solutions, either through legislation, but legislation in Congress is like watching grass grow or paint dry. It just takes a long time. But there's the other way is through policy, and policy is important because whoever comes in the administration, they do policy. I'm for deportation, and I know some other folks are for deportation of criminals, and we see different styles. In fact, President Obama is still the #1 deporter, but he had a different way of doing it, and there's different ways of doing it. I don't agree the way they're doing it right now. And when President Obama was there, we actually, in the appropriations, we put language there for policy to say you're going to focus on criminals, you're going to focus on people that are risk to the national security, you're going to focus on people that have final deportation orders. That is, they went through the process and it's final. And right now, I think we got, over 1.5 million final deportation orders, and that's what we ought to be focusing on, those folks that have final deportation orders or are criminals or are risk. Everybody else that have been here for a long time, I think the policy needs to change on that. So it's legislation that takes a long time, which I support, or through policy. In the appropriations, we are trying to change the policy currently right now, and I keep looking at the phone, don't mean to be disrespectful, but we're trying to finish the last 4 appropriation bills. There's 4 more to go, including Homeland, and as I mentioned, I'm the top Democrat in the Homeland Appropriations Subcommittee. Mark Amadei, good man from Nevada. He and I have been working. We're trying to get there, and I hope that we can get an agreement on Homeland, because if we do a CR, then there's a blank check. And we're trying to put certain oversight provisions on ICE. That's the policy. In fact, one of the things that I've been supporting for many years are in the appropriations, and you're right, they're capped at 66,000, is H-2B, which are seasonal workers, and H-2A. We usually pass that from the House, working with Andy Harris, but it dies on the Senate side, and we need some help on it. In fact, we were trying to change H-2B to make it more open to allow a lot more people, but the problem is you got to have the White House on your side, which I think they're working with us on one aspect, and then you got to get the authorizers. The authorizers, we're appropriators, and then you got the authorizers in judiciary, and we're trying to get them to allow us to do a little bit, because in Congress, I figured out there are certain trains that have to pass. One is the NDAA, the other one's appropriations, and there are certain, the other one's Farm Bill, which we should get, and my understanding is we're going to be looking at the Farm Bill in February, which we support, but we got to get something done. In fact, a few years ago, I tried to expand the H-2B to include construction and builders on it, but unfortunately, the authorizers, and I said that without due respect as an appropriator, they did not allow us to do that. They said, that's up to us. We are the ones that's supposed to do that. And my response is very simple. Well, then get it done. And that's why we almost got it done, where we're trying to add the constructors and, to give due process. The Republicans didn't want to do it. And the labor unions, Democrats didn't want to do it, both sides. But I thought it was important to include the contractors, like you said, the builders also. We almost got it done, but unfortunately, we'll give it another try. Right now, we're trying to do the H-2B to allow more people to come under the H-2B, because the legal pathway, if you want to stop the illegal from coming in, that's one thing. But you ought to have visas to allow as a solution as to what you're doing. So there's long-term, which I support, the legislation that I've talked about, but the other one is short-term through policy. Administrations have certain policies. The Biden administration had open borders, which I disagree. Doesn't want to let anybody in. And I always say people at the border, we just, D.C. and El DF, they don't understand us. They don't understand the border, and I'm talking about both sides of the border. It's either extreme this way or extreme this way, and we got to find some sort of moderation, because the border is very unique. It's a beautiful place, and we need to find some sort of moderation at the border.
Stands for and what that means, so we can clarify just briefly.
Yeah, every year we're supposed to do the appropriations by September 30th. We should have done this appropriations by September 30th. It didn't happen. In the past years, the appropriations, there's 12 appropriations. I used to be in the appropriations in Texas, and for my educators, those were the good old days, because 75% of all the new monies would go into public and higher ed. I used to be the chairman of public and higher ed. We helped create South Texas College, as you know. Expanded down to Stark County and other places. So we're supposed to do 12 appropriation bills on September 30th. October 1st is when the new fiscal year. If it doesn't happen, we do a continuing resolution. That is, we extend it so there's no shutdown. I don't like shutdowns. And we extend it. And if we, there's 4 more appropriation bills to do, including THUD, housing and transportation, including defense, which is extremely important to us. And of course, the big one is Homeland, which is a little bit, we almost had it done. We almost had Homeland appropriations done. We're down to a couple of items. But when the Minnesota shootings came, it changed the dynamics. And I keep telling my Republican friends and Democrats, we got to find some sort of oversight for ICE to do that. As you know, the budget for ICE is usually $10 billion that Congress does, But there is, for the next 4 years, there's an additional $18.7 billion over the appropriations that we do for ICE. So therefore, we're trying to, without going into details, we'll find out in the next couple hours if we have an agreement, which I want an agreement, because if we do a short-term CR or a long-term CR, you put a blank check, and I want to have some say-so in the appropriations once I have some say-so on policy.
Thank you so much.
Some of their kids are U.S. citizens. A lot of times people here think that the guys that are getting picked up here at the job sites are just recent that have crossed over. They've been here like many years. So I was looking at that, and she is also a Republican out of Florida, and I wanted to get clarification. Are you also supporting her bill for the ones that have been longer than here, than 5 years from now, to help get them some type of a visa to work? At least I know she states that she doesn't want to give them a citizenship, which I understand that part, but some type of temporary work visa to help the community of construction, because Florida is also facing that as well. So I just want to relay that question too.
Right, so Congresswoman Salazar has served longer than I have, so the Dignity Act has been a piece of legislation that she's been championing for several years now, and unfortunately has not garnered enough support to actually come to the floor. She's made tweaks and adjustments along the way, but as Congressman Cuellar said, legislation is like watching paint dry. It's really, really tough to get things on the floor. So yes, I did sign my name to co-sponsor it. So what that means to you is that I support the piece of legislation and what's in the legislation, and will also work to garner support so that it comes quicker to the floor. That being said, she has now, I believe, 119 sponsors, and we just spoke about it this week. That is a lot of sponsors, both Democratic and Republican, which that's the best way to pass policy, is when you have communication on both sides and there is agreement. That being said, with the president stating that he's open to a discussion on immigration policy, this is one of the pieces that floats to the top, along with my Bracero 2.0 program, which would also streamline the application, among other things. Yes.
Thank you. And I've sat down with the representative. There's a lot of stuff that's, how should I say, rebranded. It's been around for a long time. There's no magical solution. Either you're for dreamers, either you're, want to do something. Every immigration reform should have three things, in my opinion. One, you need to have strong border security. Number two, you got to have a guest worker plan, whatever streamline that we talked about on it. And the third thing is, what do you do about we don't know what the exact numbers are because of the deportation, but let's say 10, 11 million people here. I don't believe what Ronald Reagan and the Democrats did in 1986. I don't believe in asylum. I think it should be earned. But at the minimum, you should have a regularization of them where they can be here, they can live here, the ones that have been here for a long time, because there's people that have been a long time. They're not the recent ones that came in during the last administration. These are people that have been a long time, and they're mixed. By mixed, I mean some of them already have kids here. They already have kids, and they've been here. They have no criminal records. So we got to do something about those. And I'd rather know who those folks are because they can pay taxes. They can be part of the economy. And for national security, I want to know who's here. I want to know who is in the shadows. And by having some sort of regularization that is earned pathway, no asylum, no way of just giving them the way the Reagan and the Democrats did in 1986. We gotta have some sort of pathway to have them. So the answer is yes, and I've seen this over the years. I still remember when I first started some years ago, President Bush said, "You give me a border wall 650 miles, and we'll have immigration reform." He got the 650 miles of fencing, and guess what? We're still waiting. We're still waiting, plus a few more miles. I think they added $46.5 billion of new monies for billion for more border fencing itself. So I've seen the arguments since I first started, but the only way you can do it is by being bipartisanship. And I'll say this, Fox News, for anybody who watches Fox, they did put the most bipartisan folks, Democrats in the House, people that go against the party. I had to call my friend Chip Roy, because Chip Roy, I did beat Chip Roy. I think it was number 3. I was number 1. I'm a Democrat, but I follow the words of President LBJ, who said, I'm an American first, I'm a Texan second. I think he probably said Texan before American, but he did say American, Texan, and then a Democrat, in that order. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, you put country first before you put your party.
And that being said, Jesse, I do want to highlight that because I am so passionate about the DACA kids and what their work status is, I actually created and opened into legislation or submitted into legislation the Texas Dreamer Work Authorization Act. And what that does is it ensures the DACA recipients will receive employment authorization documents. And this would supersede any judicial interpretation that restricts such actions nationwide. And the reason why I did that is because, as Congressman Cuellar stated, we wanted to, first, we love this state. We love this community, right? And you're looking to come back home, as you said, come back to the Rio Grande Valley, where we have so many hardworking DACA recipients, that we want them to have the peace of mind knowing that they can apply for work and receive that work authorization. And that's why I created this piece of legislation. I'm proud of it.
Sign for that.
I voted no.
I voted yes.
One other question. Why did you vote no?
Because there were some things there that I just disagree, putting, for different things, but I'll just highlight whatever. Putting $75 billion extra to ICE, I disagree. It should come through appropriations. Putting $46.5 billion for a border wall, I disagree. That should come through appropriations. You know, I'm for strong border security. I've been attacked by my liberal friends. In fact, they spent a couple of years ago, 2 elections, over $20 billion. You know, the far left, the Justice Democrats, the AOCs and all that. I'm still here. They spent a lot of money because on border security, I am for strong border security, but it's got to be one that you can be rational. I support Border Patrol. I certainly support technology, getting rid of Carrizo Cane, getting rid of all of that. But the border wall, in my opinion, is it's a 14th century solution to a 21st century problem. You can use technology, you can use other things for I am the one that added the exceptions, the 7 exceptions to the border wall. SpaceX, the Butterfly Center, the chapel, etc., the historical, I added border exceptions to that. And we were able to use appropriations to leverage certain things. But when you add $46.5 billion to a border fence, it takes that leverage from Congress, and it should go through appropriations.
Thank you, sir. Why did you vote yes for that bill?
Thank you for that question. The first thing I'm going to say is that border security in the One Big Beautiful Bill was just one aspect of the bill. Now, you have to remember, the time we're coming from was the Biden administration, and as Congressman Cuellar said, and his open border policy, where we had over 10 million illegal immigrants that entered into our country. Illegal immigrants that caused crimes such as that of the very sad death of Lincoln Riley and Jocelyn Nunungai in Houston. And the American people were demanding that we secure our border and stop criminal illegal immigration and enforce legal immigration. So, of course, that was just one part of the big, beautiful bill. That being said, what I supported was not only securing the border and helping to strengthen legal immigration, but I also supported no tax on tips, which the One Big Beautiful Bill had, no tax on Social Security, which my grandparents used Social Security, so I know and heard from many of our abuelitos in this area how they felt frustrated that the money that they had been taxed on and had put into Social Security, they were getting double taxed. So we eliminated tax on tips. We eliminated tax on Social Security. We eliminated tax on overtime, which is very important in this area because we have so many hard workers that do work overtime to help make ends meet. But this is an area, Hispanos are area where we have large families. Well, at least we tend to have large families. And what was important to helping these families is increasing the child tax credit. And what we're going to see come this April is more money in people's pockets. And this is really important for a time where inflation is through the roof. We talked about inflation just here in this industry, but if you go down to the HEB and you buy groceries, you walk out $100 paying groceries, you'd say, wow, my gosh, I only bought 5 items, right? Well, what we wanted to do was put money back into the pockets of families. Had the One Big Beautiful Bill not passed, we would have experienced the largest tax increase in United States history. And with the stress of inflation that was caused during the Biden administration, I could not put any more stress or could see myself putting any more stress on families right here in South Texas. And that's why I voted for the One Big Beautiful Bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
The bill was very complicated, very complicated. It did cut Medicaid. It's not supposed to cut Medicare, but there is a law that does a automatic cut to that. I am for tax cuts. I'm a very conservative Democrat, but tax cuts that favor the rich more than the working class. I'm for tips. No tax.
Well, I'm going to interject here, Congressman, because we're not supposed to be on a debate about the One Big Beautiful Bill. And if we're going to talk about the waste, fraud, and abuse that is in Medicaid, then that is a different discussion for another time. And in addition, that's not what this was supposed to be about. So I don't think that we should go there because it is a complex subject.
I agree. I thought it was only on Homeland, but if there's taxes, the taxes on tips on all over 3 years, everything is permanent. I want everything permanent on tax cuts. But with that, no debate. I just wanted to make sure.
No, thank you. I know we have a board member here that. And I know we don't want to go into that bill anymore. And what I can say is that it seems to me both are in agreement on the big beautiful bill. I think it was a beautiful bill, and but I don't think there would ever be a bill where things are going to be perfect. There's always going to be something in there that could have been different, but at the end of the day, it's good because I see that both agree on border security. I think most of us do. And one thing that I would like to emphasize is the dignity legislative, I believe it's called.
Yes.
And I think that's something great, and I'm glad that both of you support that. I hope we can get more support so that it can pass, because at the end of the day, what I can say, being Raza from the Valley, is that what people are looking for is a way to be able to work without being afraid of going out. And I hope that somewhere down the line, politics are put aside, and we don't go Democrat or Republicans, but we go in the middle to where we do what is best for the community, for our people. We don't want people are not fighting, or they're not looking for citizenship and all that. There's many people, and I have many workers, that haven't been able to see their families for many years. They've been here for 10, 20, 30 years. And their parents are dying, their grandparents, and some of them left children behind, and they haven't been able to go see their children. And that's what they want. They just want to be able to cross across the border, see their relatives, see their families. Citizenship is good, but at the end, that's not what they're looking for. They just want to be able to work. And we as builders, we just want to be able to finish our homes. We want to be able to move forward. This is the only way of life that we know. This is the only thing we do. And we just want to be able to continue working.
Well, I think that while we can certainly debate different pieces of legislation, I do want to say that Congressman Cuellar and I work very closely together on several pieces of legislation. And we have learned to find the middle ground to get to solutions. The work that I have led concerning the 1944 Water Treaty was with a partner. And I can proudly say of Congressman Cuellar, he helped to put language in the appropriations bill, because that is his committee of jurisdiction, that would hold the Mexican government accountable for that water. And so while we don't want to, we could debate all day different bills and our different perspectives, I do want to say one thing before we end, because I know we've got other meetings to have, is that Congressman Cuellar and I have always put our political differences aside to work for the betterment of this community. And we have legislation and policy that prove it. And so at the end of the day, it is not about blue or red, it is about the red, white, and blue. And I think we're showing this today. And so with that, I want to thank you all so much for this meeting. Thank you everybody who spent time with us today. God bless you all, and I believe this is the end of the meeting.